Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with another episode of The Authority Project. And I have my new good friend here, Tracy. Is it Lamourie? Is
You
that right?
got it.
Oh,
First
yes.
try.
Yes, she is here. She is here to help us entrepreneurs use media and publicity to beat the competition. Is that right, Tracy?
You got it.
Awesome. Well, we shall see. We shall see on this current episode of The Authority Project.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, feast your eyes and tune your ears. It's that time again. We are live with another episode of The Authority Project. It's the video podcast streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope, where we talk to digital marketers, business coaches, and creators of all kinds on how they've built authority in their field and how you can mimic their success. Developing authority, building your audience, and attracting better clients to your own business. Now, without further ado, let's bring to the virtual stage your host, Brian S. Arnold.
All right, and we are back with another one, folks. It is Brian S. Arnold here. This is The Authority Project. You are the project, and we want to slap authority to your name so you can sell more of what you're great at. And we are here with Tracy today, and I am so excited because we're going to be talking about media and publicity to beat the competition.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited because, I feel like it's somewhat of a shortcut, but I'm sure she'll let us in on the real deal today. How are you doing today, Tracy?
Very good. How are you? Hello, everybody.
I'm great. I am great. Thanks for asking. And before we dive in, let's first of all let the people know who you are personally and then professionally.
So they're kind of the same thing because my professional life has developed from my young advocacy work and my activist work, and was still really heart-centered and take on only things we love. So the bio says, and it's true, I'm an international award-winning publicist working across industries. This year, I was thrilled to win the Women of Inspiration 2020 for Women of Media, Universal Women's Network. Women of Inspiration. And so I work with, when you hear PR, you think about celebrities and authors, and I certainly work with them, but I also work with executives and entrepreneurs literally across industries, teaching them how to, like you said, beat the competition, how to advance themselves, how to become thought leaders, and how to use all these millions of forums and mainstream media to kind of siphon the clients away from the competition, to build their own brand and find opportunities for themselves to get awards, to find speaking engagements and all that fun stuff.
I love it. I love everything about that. So let's talk about your current project. What are you currently working on at the moment?
Oh my goodness, I always have dozens of clients. I have more than 20 clients right now across industries. Literally, I have authors, lots of power women writing amazing books. One woman who wrote about surviving, widowhood and moving on. And, so a lot of people, I work with Rosa Parks' cousin. Rosa Parks, right? For 6 years, she has a film, Angela Sadler Williamson, a film called My Life with Rosie, about what Rosa Parks did for the next 30 years, because she continued to be an activist until her death, and inspiring all of us. I work with Jimmy Dennis, who I helped, start a campaign way before I was a publicist to help free him from death row, an innocent man. Today he's free, and he's a recording artist, lauded in Rolling Stone magazine, recording music and on panels with Naughty by Nature and Ja Rule and some big names.
Okay.
Yes, I work with, I discovered a little recording artist called Bolu. She wasn't a recording artist then, 13 years old, little girl singing in her room, making some comments, just getting her feelings out about the issues of last year, including COVID and Black Lives Matter. And she wrote a stunning song called Make It Right that I introduced to media. And the last 6 months, she's been gone kind of international in terms of awards. She's won a bunch of awards and getting featured internationally as well. So yeah, and I don't, when I start talking, that's the creative side. And then for businesses right now, I work with everybody from SEO expert to in the healthcare field, to psychologist, to a neuromarketing expert, to luxury real estate agent. So literally whatever you do, I can find media opportunities for you.
I love it. Amazing. So do you have, I've got one more question for you, then we'll really dive in. So with all this talent and people that you work with, do you have a daily routine at all?
It's like
just go with the flow.
it's completely every day is the same, but every day is absolutely different. In the
Okay.
age of COVID, my daily routine is pretty much go to my desk and all the magic happens from here,
Okay.
you know. But different stuff every day, and it goes with the flow to some extent because whatever media opportunity, I'm always checking the incoming media opportunities, and so then that part of the day depends, what I see for who, where I'm going to be focusing my attention. But then we also have strategic, moves that we're making for clients where we've planned things for particular days, and we know when it's not COVID, like in 2019, my year was crazy. I literally was privileged to be flown all over the world. 9 different projects across industries took me to the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, to Las Vegas, to LA, to literally everywhere. And then COVID happened. It's like, the world let me have all that travel to see. Oh, and then nothing, then stop. You're gonna be no
Right.
Hollywood Hills this year. It's gonna be Hamilton Mountain in
Mm,
Canada. But
wow.
yeah, it's like everything's different, and it's all very strategic. And it's some things we're responding to what opportunities we find, which I'm always researching internationally, and
Yes.
in other cases, it's strategic where we know what we're working on, and I'll spend one day or one week focusing on one particular client, and till we get all kinds of stuff rolling for them, and then as those things are coming in, I move on to the next one. Or I'm really good at juggling.
Very nice. Very nice. So I'm excited to get to this next question here because I want to know what got you to the point where you felt that the key was publicity and media coverage. What got you to that point? Was it something that you've always been into? Did you go into schooling for that, or you saw something and like, this is it. This is
Not
this is
only
how
have
it
I
goes
never
now.
gone to school for PR or publicity, but I've never read a book on it, and I'm only recently meeting publicists, and I've been
Wow.
doing this for 8 years, and I'm at the top of my field. So, um,
Wow.
but no, but in terms of what taught me, so I've always been an advocate. I was an activist, a young activist in my 20s, and all kinds of issues, from anti-racism to anti-poverty initiative to all the stuff that I'm still passionate about. And in our 20s, we think
Yeah.
we can change the world, and you know what, you can
Yeah.
change little bits. So because of that work, I knew obviously from that we can't change minds if we can't speak to people, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I learned to write a press release, which when I got involved with that case, just as an activist, hearing about an innocent man on death row in Pennsylvania, I literally learned to write a press release. It's so good at that messaging over 10 years. I finally thought, 15 years later, hey, I could make a career out of doing what I did there, nonprofit,
Mm,
for,
yeah.
or, for entrepreneurs, because I'm really good at it. But so yeah, so we helped, like, in my 20s, we helped free a guy from death row using
Wow.
media messaging because I learned
Wow.
to write a press release. So that taught me that, and that's something that was impossible. People would have said, and they did say, you're crazy, you're wasting your time. But that led to, obviously, the lawyers got involved, but because they heard about it, because people with power who were able to advance causes heard about it through our media messaging. So
Mhm.
that taught me, that messaging is everything. And then my own career, because I was always hot, because of that work I was doing, I built a big profile without even meaning to in that life,
Yeah.
getting major national media talking about those issues. And then, which now it's hilarious. I'm like, Jesus, I've literally built 2 international profiles for myself over 20 years. One didn't even lead to the other. I literally stopped that one for 10 years. So it's like,
Wow.
I learned it's not hard to find these media opportunities, even when you're not looking for them in my activist days. But now it's my job to research and find, and I don't care who you are, what you come to me with. By the end of 2 weeks, you're going to be like, what? How did she? One of my clients literally, and he's a celebrity. He knows media. He messaged me the other day. He's like, are you a witch? I was like, what? He's like, no, it's a compliment. He was just
Yeah.
surprised that I was able to get some juice on a business
Uh,
project that they haven't been able to get any attention on.
wow.
And it's
Wow.
all, again, it's skills, it's research, it's, you know,
Yeah.
passion, it's, finding those opportunities, knowing they're out there. So
Yeah. Yeah. I always had this not a notion, but I knew that the media is powerful. It's I mean, it's very powerful. It can bring you up and also tear you down. So we'll get into that too. But I want to know, like, let's start with the quickest way to do this first. If I'm just brand new to this, I'm like, I want to I want to get some media cover. I want to get, you know, into a publication, whatever. What do you say to the first person, like, if it was someone else to give you advice, like how to start? What is the quickest way to jump into this?
Well, the first thing before you even think about reaching out to any reporters and telling your stories, you have to understand, and entrepreneurs have a really hard time getting their head around this. The difference between advertorial, which is what you're thinking when you think about your business and your product.
Right.
Where you talk about how great our product is, why it's better, blah, blah. That's an ad. And if you start sending that to the news departments, they're going to send you to the ad department, tell you to pay for an ad, right? So number one is really understanding the pitch, understanding what that newsroom wants, which is you're not looking for free advertising, even though you are, right? You're looking to provide excellent content that is relevant to their audience. And if you do that right, then you may still not get in because it's timely, or they've already done something like that, or the news cycle is such that they're only talking about COVID, or, you know, whatever it is. But that's step one, is your pitch is everything. So you have to understand what a pitch is. And that's why I always say, you know, there's a lot of tools, which I'll get to in a minute. I'll give you some free tools where you can go and look and see, where you can hear from major media. I've gotten clients in Good Housekeeping, Oprah.com, Reader's Digest, New York Times, not even with press releases, just using these free sources, similar to the Podmatch ones that hooked us up, called Help a Reporter Out, or Source Bottle in Australia. Before you even look at that and get excited, you know, because a lot of people are pitching them, yet again, understand the pitch. And you want to have a paragraph that's, about Brian, about Tracy, which says it's not your whole entire resume, but it's why you are an interesting guest. Maybe a couple of ideas about a compelling segment that you could give on something topical that you have a knowledge of that they don't have. But the easy ways to start too is things like Medium. If you've seen Medium articles, it looks like Huffington Post, but really anybody can literally write an article on Medium. So that's a good way to start your thought leadership. Think about a couple things, then you have something to point to. And then you can join these, you're an expert in whatever your field is. Join Podmatch, join Matchmaker.fm, join, there's a whole bunch of podcast services. They maybe cost $10, $20, $40 a month. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. But as a publicist, I'm, a member of all of them, and I invest a whole lot of time looking at all of them for my clients, right?
Yeah.
So part of it is the time investment. If you have more money than time, hire a publicist. If you're just literally just starting out and trying to navigate it, look at some of those sources like Heroin, Source Bottle. But again, it's all about the pitch. You can look at those sources that I use successfully every day to get my clients in major media. You could try it and think, I don't know what she's talking about. This is crap and doesn't work. It's because you're not framing your expertise correctly and you're getting garbage filed, But if you learn that pitch, you learn that, then there's a million billion opportunities out there. Even if you Google right now, if you want speaking engagements, Google whatever your industry is, and then submit speaker. Suggest speaker, see what comes up. Internet awards too. Be creative and find these things.
Okay. So I'm trying to hone all this in, because that was a whole lot.
I'm sorry, I talked too much.
That was a whole lot to my quickest way. So can we break down like a blueprint now? So I heard you talking about knowing like your script or your pitch or whatever. Can you take us from I'm assuming how to look into your personal brand to build this pitch to going from, searching and then, all of that. Is there like a 1, 2, 3 step, 2, 3, 4 step kind of thing?
Well, the one is really, that pitch. And when I say pitch too, I mean, your pitch is going to be different all the time, depending on what your particular message is, what media you're aiming it at, that kind of thing. And because in that term, we're just talking about what we tell the media, why you're a good source for their story. Yeah. But you also need to go along with whatever those individual things are that will change, is that core thing you're going to use all the time, which is similar to your bio. Like when I'm starting with a client, they'll send me their bio, and then I'll condense their bio, which is that one paragraph. Really compelling thing that uses words like internationally quoted if they are, nationally quoted if they are. If they're not, I'm going to make sure they are soon. Okay. If not, if you don't have that, you use things like, compelling guest, authority in their field. They can speak, give you a good. So you use buzzwords like that so they can see that you're a good guest. Put in just really a paragraph, a couple of later, once you start developing the links, you can start, sharing what you have. But for now, really just have the confidence that you're an expert. Write it in it's hard to really explain editorial versus advertorial, but basically editorial is what you write and that's what the media prints, right? So that's
Yeah.
an ad.
Yeah.
Advertorial is when, you can pitch them, you can tell them, but ultimately what goes into that story, once you've convinced them, it's up to the editor. So you have to really train yourself. So the number one thing, even before you get to the number two, I guess, which is the pitch, is understand that editorial versus advertorial means not the same thing. And you can spend all day long, reaching out everywhere, trying and wondering why you're not getting any media attention if it's worded wrong and sounds like an ad and not a compelling suggestion for a guest. So
Mm.
number one, cross your I's, dot your T's, ask your mother, ask 10 people, watch the news. If you're pitching the news, like the 22 minutes evening news, you better make sure, watch the news. Do they ever have anything like what you're talking about or no? Is your story more fit for maybe the front page of the newspaper? You know what I mean? The first
Right.
20 pages, but not the front page.
Okay.
Maybe it's going to
Gotcha.
be in like the 20th. So when you think about that, where would I see a story like this? Would it be in the business? Would it be in lifestyle? That tells you who to reach out to. So maybe don't just reach out to info at my local newspaper. Go search for their masthead. Find who the reporters are in business, in lifestyle, in real estate. Aim specifically at that reporter. Google and find reporters. These are real tips. Google and find reporters who've written about the kind of thing you talk about.
Okay.
Reach out to them and offer yourself as a source. So it's that kind of thing.
Now, can you give me like an example of what the editorial would sound like at all? Do you have anything that just off the top what it might sound
So,
like?
so there's a difference. Editorial meaning it's something. It could be anything but it's something where when the editor opens it up and looks at it, he's like, "Huh, that sounds like a story." He's not thinking, "Oh yeah, these guys want a free ad. I'm going to send them the news." That's
Okay.
the number thing, right?
Okay.
So that's the easiest way to think of it.
Okay.
So. And then beyond that, it's like, so how do you get an editorial? So what might be the stories that you could tell that are not, advertorial?
Right.
Think about yourself. What's your own story? Why are you in the business? Because like I say, if an author comes to me, and they want to sell their book, it's not about selling the book to me. To me, it's about selling that author as an expert and the book is their byproduct. If you sell, you have a bottled water company and you come to me, I want to raise my profile, my brand. I can't interview the bottle of water. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you are you're the authority. Why? So part of the story could be, and I know you want to talk about why this is better than this. Why is this bottle better than this one? That's not the story, unless you're in some, So what is the story though is, but maybe instead of why this is better than this, you could talk about how you did all this research, you personally, why you were motivated to go with a green bottle instead, why this is market different, But even that you got to do well because it's close to advertorial. But your story, why are you into it? Where? Then the second key is a topical press release, which is, say you see something in the news and you have some expertise that gives you a viewpoint on that, beyond the norm. And you'd normally turn to your wife or your friend and be like, "Oh man, look at that." And it could be anything. If you're a psychologist, you see the thing about Kanye breaking up with Kim. If you're whoever, you see the thing. But I mean, it could be anything, right? And that could be topical. You could be like, and they do this all the time, psychologists. Perfect example. Why are they quoted some random psychologist? They enter, well, while I don't know Kim and Kanye, what I would say, Bob Smith over here, Dr. Smith, who works in Tonawanda, he sees people who break up all the time. And my comment on the Kim and they get into media that way. And that's an exaggerated, there's like, but same thing. Say you're in lawn care and there's a big media story about, bugs, people see more bugs. And then oh, gee, yeah. And related to that, what people don't know is blah, blah, blah. That's an opportunity for topical release where you're like, "Hey, I saw your news story and whatever. I'm an expert in this. You probably didn't know this." Experts get featured all the time that way. So that's you telling them a story and you getting in, initiating a story. So you're quoted in it. And then the other side, what I was talking about before, is using Haro and all those other things to jump on opportunities where there's going to be an existing story. Okay. They already know somebody's going to be quoted in that. And they're reaching widely to look to. So you monitor those, get in there. And that helps you with your pitches later when you reach out to your local TV, your local radio, and say, "Hey, look, here I am in 15 articles. I've been quoted here, here, and here." Even if you just one line in Reader's Digest, right? Now all of a sudden you get that.
Okay. I hear you. So what I'm hearing is that the personal story is what's going to drive everything.
Mhm.
Am I right by saying that?
Well, that's one way, not always. I mean, like
Okay.
I said, the topical release, that's not necessarily
Right.
personal is
Okay.
one thing.
Yeah.
Personal is one potential, topical is another potential. And then you just as an expert speaking, about like, inserting your comments about what you know into others. So those are like three different kinds of opportunities. And then once you develop some of those, there's a ton of opportunities where you will get profile. Like right now, I have three things that I could name, but I won't because I mean, it's because of my relationship with the editors. They
Right.
won't. They don't just take everyone coming in, but
Yeah.
where I know right now, any executive or any entrepreneur that has done anything, I mean, a good idea, they have anything I can write about convincingly, I can get a really good profile of them in like 3 publications online.
Wow.
And so you come back, you have those 3, and now one of them, you're taking that to your investor now. Oh,
Yeah.
look at all the attention I'm getting, and look what I said here. This is how it works. You'd be surprised. Like it gets you attention from it. It differentiates you for investors, for potential customers, for people are impressed with media attention. And then hasn't changed since the early days when they used, as seen on TV in advertising.
Nice. Nice. Okay. I'm loving all of this. So is there a wrong way to do this? Have you seen people try it and it's like that's totally off? Why
Well, I
you
mean,
do
totally can just fall flat. Like if you don't get that editorial versus advertorial again.
it?
I've
Okay.
literally seen somebody try to direct a junior publicist who, thankfully, I said, that's no, that's you can't get the content as a publicist because there was literally a carpet cleaning company. And
Okay.
they were instructing this junior publicist to do a press release about their sales, how they were better than the other guy, and this is
Okay.
the sales they had on. And I
Yeah.
was like, please tell me you did not send that to the news department for the reputation of the publicist as
Right.
well as the news department, because the guy editor is going to be like, are you for real? Seriously?
Wow.
Like, no, 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 no,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
it's key to understand before you pitch anything, understand what the audience is. And basically, it comes down to what's interesting content.
Okay.
You cannot get a free ad, but you can get in the mix if you can give them interesting content. So that's pretty free reign. There's no rules. What's interesting content? Are you interesting content? Is your life story what brought you here interesting content? I bet you it is. Is there something with so these are the things that are strategic, and this is why I also say if you can work with a publicist for a month, I have it's a high bar for a lot of entrepreneurs because a lot of times it's 3 months minimum, $3,000 a month. That's the norm. But
Right.
I know because I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs who don't even it's hard to conceptualize themselves in media. I always say come to me for literally a month. I have under $1,000. I have 2 under $1,000 packages. One that's like I won't get into advertising, but I'm
Yeah.
not advertorial, I'm editorial. But I mean one that's budget friendly under $700 and one that's still budget friendly under 1,000, which is full service, right? But basically if someone even high, the reason I put those into place is like you can listen to all this, but you don't believe me, you don't really get it. It's really hard. If someone hires me even for a month, which we prefer 3 months, every publicist does, because then you can strategize and build on your other, but even if you just are like, what are you talking, to like teach people, to get your head around, to open your mind for even 1 month at like $600, the lowest budget thing. At the end of that month, you're going to, not only are you going to get some media from it, but more importantly to the business owner, really process this, you'll see that pitch. Because I write that pitch, you see how I frame you, you see how I send it out, and you see the kind of interviews I get. And even if you decide never to have a publicist again, right? Because it's too much of an investment, you blah, 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 you just want that month. At the end of that month, you have that pitch, that bio, that core pitch. You have a couple of articles to show for it. And even more important than that, you're like, oh my God, now I get it. Honestly.
Yeah. So tell me why in your experience why you said entrepreneurs don't really get it, like because I know we're probably flooded with let's get social media files, let's get an email list, and we don't really think about publicity or
News,
media.
or
So
TV, or yeah.
so is that the reason why, or is it just that we're just not
Well, I
aware
think it's
of the
because a
power
lot of people think I hear just a lot. Like, well, I'm just doing, and they
right.
think the people that are on TV are elevator. Well, I would say, no, the only difference between you and the people that are on TV that you see quoted in your field is they have a publicist or they told the media about it. So that's literally it. So people don't see themselves, and also we don't think about that. We start a business. Oh, they're going to go interview me on TV. Again, that's a mindset and an understanding of what they like. And this is why a lot of publicists that came from journalism and they go back and forth because we understand the other side too. We're successful at what we do because unlike, civilians, we know what a news story is. We know what they're likely to, so when you tell me, hey, this is what I want you to send to, part of my job is to be like, okay, I hear where you're going with that, but no, that's not a news story. That's not going to be, well, this is how we can frame that though, to make that a news story,
Okay.
So it's like that. And we're trained ad. We're entrepreneurs. We love what we do. We love our product. We know about placing an ad. We see ads every day. We know how to place ads. We see people in the media every day. But again, it's that disconnect between that could be me. And for me, it's like I've been in the media and everything I've ever done. It's like easy, 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 easy. So to me, it's like, if I meet an entrepreneur who's successful, I'm like, have you been interviewed? And what, have you not done any media? They're looking at me like, and I'm like, oh, come on. Like I just worked with right now, 20-year woman, 20 years in, super well known in healthcare. People come from all over the world, literally, to go to her clinic. She just started working with me a week ago. I pitched her to the first couple interviews, and the first reporter said to me, well, does she have anything online that we can look on? Every previous interviews or, instead of just saying no, which would have closed the deal, this is where the publicist came in, right? And I'm like, she doesn't because she's been extremely, this is the truth. For the last 20 years, she hasn't been thinking about this. She's been extremely patient focused to the point where people come all over the world for her. It's only the last week or so that she started thinking about thought leadership and sharing her knowledge with the public. That's why she hired a publicist. And guess what? The truth is, this is true. Next week, she's going to be in Authority magazine. She's already booked for 2 Oh, okay, let's have her on. So she had nothing, and it's just, and she could have answered that. It's not the magic of a publicist. She could have said the same thing if she knew who to pitch, and she had the time and had the language skills and knew how to, so it's not that you need a publicist, but it's you need to really wrap your head around, and also you need the time to do all this. This is like, I put time and effort into this to make the magic, right?
Right.
So, but to me, it's easy. So people come to me and I'm like, yeah, man, I do this for you. And then they're like honestly, I elevate and celebrate what people are doing. And there's no way, I don't care what you do, that media attention cannot make it better, because it doesn't, you and your competitor are being looked at by your local whoever, whether it's to get the client, to get the funding, to get that speaking opportunity, and he's got 10 interviews, and you got nothing. It's just natural. You're an authority, and people want to say, as seen on whatever, welcome to our stage, as seen in Chicago Tribune. And you know what I mean? So I do it all the time. I get people coming to me with zero media, and I get them by the end of the year. They have a list this long, including like crazy names that they can literally build careers on just that.
And I think a lot of people might probably hesitate with that because they feel like they're not as, lack of a better word, distinguished or accomplished. And I think
the only difference between you and the people on TV, or they got a publicist, or they thought about it. And I mean, I work with people with their list of accomplishments a mile long, and you know what? They have that same feeling sometimes too. They haven't been on TV, but they got all these awards, they got all the whatever, and they still have that feeling like, oh, me, why would they? And I'm like, who do you think it is that's on TV? People think the people in that little box, they're, but honestly, there's literally, those are just content providers. They're looking for content. Obviously, there's a lot of people trying to send them content. So just like you have to differentiate yourself in the business world, you have to have strategies and skills, and that's why people come to a publicist, because then you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We built a career on 10 years of these contexts. We know the people to play. We know where to throw you in quickly. So it's just like cutting all that, to the quick. But if you're starting your business, you don't have any money, but you have time, and you understand what I'm saying about the pitch, you put your little bio together, you can go to your local, start with your local community television there, or your local weekly paper. They're mandated. You're mandated to do local stuff, so you can also start those ways.
Okay, I like the
Get
local.
out there.
I never thought about local stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything, local, that's their mandate, is what are local people doing. So you go to them, say, hey, I've got this, influential podcast called Authority. I go on, now I have an authority about entrepreneurs, because you hear from so many entrepreneurs every day and you speak to them. So now you go and do, you suggest that you're going to do a lot of those take a little op-ed too. You could do a one-time op-ed in your local daily paper as well, talking about, and the way to make that topical. Maybe you do something about how, hey, we all know how, COVID has decimated entrepreneurs. So I started Authority to get the conversation going, to provide a media space, a market, and this is what I've learned in that time.
Yeah.
I'm happy to speak to anybody in the radio about it. Oh, that's you send it to 100 people. Only takes one to be like
Okay.
that's a good segment. You get that one. Now you've been on WHOU TV in
Right.
Houston talking about, and now you're going.
Right.
Honestly, it's just that easy. This is
Okay.
what I do on the daily. And go look at my Instagram, and you'll see how crazy the trajectory is. I'm on podcasts. I'm 4 media interviews me today, 2 tomorrow, 3 tomorrow, something like that. Because I overbooked myself in December. I was all bored at Christmas. Everybody else was like, "What are we gonna do?" I'm like, "I'll find something to do for the new year."
Yeah. So I do you see in your clients after they come to you and they don't feel like they're, I feel like maybe there's an emotion where they don't feel worthy or that people want to hear from them. Do you feel a difference in them in their life when they see that, hey, I'm here, here, and here? Do you see their confidence shift in them
Oh
when
yeah.
that happens?
One of my clients, Tony Dupree, who now has, again, she'd written a book that was online, but she hadn't had any media. And now we've been together almost 2 years, and she has media like a mile long, tons of newspapers, like all kinds of major stuff.
Right.
Australia, she's writing a column, and she's in Houston, all kinds of stuff. And when I asked her to write me a little, like a little Tracy's great, recommendation.
Right. Right.
And she wrote, I almost cried. She was like, you know what? She wrote about how she's always picked unspoken dream she always had was that she
Mhm.
never said to anybody as a little girl when she was reading all these magazines was that
Yeah.
one day she'd be quoted in magazines. But that was literally like a fantasy that she thought was stupid. And then
Yeah.
she started work with me, and I started making it happen. She's like, and after a year, she's like, regularly quote, and so that stuff like that. And literally, from a business perspective, I mean, I have a million stories about how one client hired me one day, 26 years old, zero media. She was a life coach, like a
Mm.
million people. Nothing to really differentiate yourself. The next, she decided to start sharing her personal story of bipolar. Hired me. The next day, I found Good Housekeeping for her, and literally got her in the print issue of Good Housekeeping, 150-year-old American magazine, that you pick up
Okay.
at the drugstore. It was
Right.
on the cover. I'm not my mental illness.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for the next year, so then every single pitch after that as featured in Good Housekeeping. So now anywhere I pitch her to talk about mental health, they pick her up. They pick her up. She's been in a million things since then, just based on that. She can build a whole career because she hired a publicist, and I gave her a crazy good deal because she's just a little 26-year-old with struggling with, and so that one thing, and then boom, 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 and that's that easy.
So talk about the result now. We're a little bit past the time, but we're hopefully you still have some time for me.
Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I talk a
Talk
lot.
about talk about the result. When you're now published, you're in a publication, and what is the result? What kind of traffic are we looking at here? Is it instant? Is it something that's gradual? What is there something to expect from that?
It could depend. Like it depends. I mean, you could obviously if you're in, Time or Rolling Stone, you're gonna see masses of people at one time on publication date are gonna see it and boom, like
Yeah.
huge. But
Right.
then, even if it's something smaller like Authority Magazine or something, Billion Success or some of these little features, what happens is, when you're sharing it on your socials, right? Your people are sharing as well as, okay, number one, the people are seeing it who would never hear of you otherwise,
Right.
obviously,
Right.
whatever number that is, right? Whether it's giant, small, whatever. But
Right.
then, and some of them that are really good, even if they're not well known, they're really good in SEO. So if
Okay.
someone searches your name, boom, you come up Authority Magazine feature. Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. So
Okay.
so that's a whole different, you know what I mean? So that's a different thing. It's not advertising, which again, where you're counting the numbers of people is the first time. Think also about the social value of when you share that on your page, not just people seeing that, but when you go share that on your socials and all your current clients, let me tell you, they get excited. Oh my goodness, my barber featured in Authority Magazine. Oh, look at this, my publicist. And your current clients share that and
Okay.
they get excited and it elevates that, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
all kinds of different ways where it benefits. So
Yeah.
there's not, and every media is different, because obviously one that has, an initial viewership of 7 million, like Rolling Stone, which I've been quoted in, and one that has an initial viewership of, 100 people, but then it's going to live online. Who knows who's going to see it? Only takes one.
Right.
One person could get you the next big media thing. One person could get you the next big, So big or small, anything that builds your story, like even if it's a small thing, because even some of the smaller things, I tell my client, no, that's gold to me as a publicist. Get that first, because it's even though it's not as big as a quote in Reader's Digest to you, to me, it's a whole thing where now we've got a nice third party piece
Yeah.
about your entire story. So now I can use that to build other media, because media begets media begets media. If you've been covered before, it starts to build that trustworthiness. And I guess there is a story there if other people, so that's what it's all about.
Great. I got 2 more questions for you.
All right.
And so
I'll try to be short.
yeah. No, don't. Oh, please don't. Please don't. I want everything from you that I can get. So what should people be doing before they start doing this? Is there something like, because you want people to come to you. So should your page be a certain way? Should you have a website? Should you have
You want to hear something funny? I'm a publicist, and oh my goodness, it's so embarrassing. For 10 years, I'm working like a PR maniac.
Right.
And I did not have, and I would never allow my clients to not have a website, right? But I personally didn't have a website for 8 years. It's only this year. One of my clients was like, "Do you want to trade some services? I'll make you a site." I'm like, yeah, because I should have one place to put all my podcast. But my reputation, it's hilarious. So I didn't have one. But no, you really should have at least something, because when I need to show that you're an authority, right? So I need to have some kind of page where you have, if you don't have a website, even if it's just a landing page, where it's like Bob Smith, contact Tracy, for interviews, here's some media that he's been featured in. That's a good idea to have. Okay. And you could do that on a Wix. You could do that, it doesn't even have to be .com if you're really just starting out, right? But I'm gonna help. I'm gonna help you professionalize. You come to me. You don't have to come to me and have anything. People come to me at all levels. People come to me, before they write their book, when their book's coming out, after their books come out, when they're starting their business, when it's going through seed funding a year later, like all different. It doesn't matter. Wherever your story's at. Yeah. Just tell me your story, and I'm going to tell you what I see in it. Before we even start, I'm not going to take your money if I don't see a story. But I always see a story. That's why the strategy. If it's not this, it's this, it's that. Because you're already an expert, so there's opportunities to frame you as an expert. And then there's your personal story, so there's opportunities to profile you. And then there's those topical things where there's opportunities for you to talk about. So don't care who you are or what you do. Yeah, you're a star. Show the world.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I got one last question for you. I love your passion. It just beams out of you. It's just amazing.
So, that's the bright red hair and the gray.
So one last question I ask this of all of my guests. It goes something like this: people are seeing you now. They're hearing you. They love what you're doing. They have similar goals, similar interests, and maybe they want to help people, build their brand or help them tell their own personal story. From your experience in your line of work, can you tell them, and I'll put you front and center, can you tell them how they can become an authority in this niche, in this space?
In this field, and what I do?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. So first you got to, be good at it, and you really got to, for me, I think the number one thing is PR is communications and contacts, and you build your contacts, by working, by, meeting people, being ethical, being good at what you do, have, maintain an excellent reputation so that, nothing can touch it. And, that's number one, because it's very public work. And make sure any project that you take on, you love and you live for, and that you actually understand. I think to be ethical in this field, you have to really, really believe in what you do. I think to be good at what you do, you have to really believe in what you do. Because if you understand the messaging, then you know who the audience is. So take on projects that you love. Be confident in yourself. Understand that there's a lot of facets to this job. Half of it's people management. Take on projects that you love. And like I tell anybody in any field, talk about what you do. Get yourself out there. Find the opportunities to speak about it. And certainly in PR, or if you're in marketing or anything like that, where you help entrepreneurs in any way, there's a million opportunities to speak about what you do. And that also elevates, yourself. I've been on 160 podcasts, or I'm going to be on between last October and next, April, because I know how to use COVID effectively, so things like that. That builds my brand, that elevates me, and elevates all my clients. So if you're in PR, the higher that you can build yourself, the more contacts and connections you have, the better you are at serving your clients as well. So build your networks. Don't be shy. Be out there. Always stay ethical, and please only take on messaging that you actually believe in, because there's enough garbage out there right now.
I love it. Amazing. Did I get into the actually the question is bad publicity good nowadays? Did I actually that at all?
No, you didn't. I don't think it is.
Okay.
People say any publicity is good publicity, but I mean, me as a consumer, whatever. I mean, depends what you call bad. But I hold, if you're nasty out there, if you're, racist or some crap, that's not good publicity. I might hear your name. I'm gonna remember your name, all right. I'm gonna remember never to do business with you, never to buy anything from you, and I'm gonna remember to tell my associates never to. So no, I don't think bad publicity is good publicity. I think always be, stay ethical, stay, and don't be afraid to put your brand out there and say things about world issues. I say as a publicist, yeah, sure, you might, you might annoy some people, you might, not get there, but whatever, like as a person, who are you going to have at your table? Who are you as a brand? Who are you speaking to? I personally don't want, I mean, I'm happy to alienate the people that I don't want at my table. I'm not serving, for example, any racists. I'm not interested in any business from any, people who have other agendas that hurt, you know what I mean? That are beyond the things that I care about, that are not aligned with the things I care about. So like, that's what I say too. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Don't be afraid of that. Put yourself out there, be authentic, and your authentic customers will follow you, and that's how you're successful.
I love it. Great stuff.
Bam.
Great stuff, Tracy. Amazing, amazing. So people, tell the people where they can find you after the show.
So where is it? There on Instagram over there. Tracy, there, did I do it right? Tracy Lamourie PR Media on Instagram. LamourieMedia.com. On Facebook, I'm Tracy Lamourie. On the old technology, the telephone, you can reach us at 289-788-5881 in Toronto, and Beverly Hills number 424-444-8052. And yeah, I'm happy to, again, free 20 or 30 minute consultation to talk about, to you listener, you personally, gentle listener. If you hear all this and you think it sounds good, but you still don't really, you're like, yeah, right, but me, I don't know. You know what? Let's make the call. Let's talk about it. I'll tell you how it'll work.
I love it. People, check her out. Get that call with this woman. You can't go wrong.
Exactly.
You can't go wrong. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? But yeah.
You might get famous.
Yeah, there you go.
That could be bad. I mean, I've asked you before, are you sure? In business, not so much, in entrepreneur stuff. But, like in the media side, I'm like, you sure you want to get famous now? Because that's a whole other thing.
We got it. One of the listeners here in Germany says she wished she had seen all of this. Well, catch the replay. Replay is going to be on right now. So, and also the podcast. Get on there and listen to that as well. So definitely. And you know what? Give her a call.
Yeah, let's connect. I'll talk all over again.
Even better. So there you go. I appreciate you. This has been amazing. I was excited about it before, and I'm even more excited to get to talk more with you after the show.
Awesome.
So people, publicity. I can't even get the word right now.
Publicity. Do it.
Get that media coverage. It is powerful. It's a powerful medium. You need to use it. So there it is. I'm done. Except I want to tell you guys, get on that authorityletter.com so you can know when these podcasts are actually put out there. I'm also giving you a very simple, cool 3-part video series about how to build your authority platform. And after you do that, after you get on that list, watch those videos, call Tracy or whatever. Or
yeah, we will rock it between what he's going to tell you and what I'm going to tell you. Oh my God. Your 2020 is going to not only be better than 2020 was, but it's going to be the best year. Like, I have to say, you know what? I actually ended up having a good year financially in 2020. Wow. And 2021 is going to be better. And you guys too. Let's do it. Let's crush 2021. Forget what the world could throw at us. We got the tools right here.
I love it. That's it. That's the last thing to be said on this show. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care. We get one more. We get one more comment on there. Yeah. Okay. So Germany was asking about having more females on the show, and trust me, there's one today and there's one tomorrow as well. And I got some more. I love my
power ladies.
Oh, yes, exactly. Oh yes, all the ladies. So definitely keep staying tuned because we have so many more females on the show coming soon. So that's it. And Thank you so much. This is the Authority Project. Build it, share it, and they will come. We're out of here. Peace, everybody.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, we want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and give an honest review. Share and tell your friends so they can hear too. And for even more authority-building tactics, be sure to sign up at theauthorityletter.com. Get free weekly content and ongoing digital product giveaways to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. We certainly hope you got a key takeaway, or maybe an aha moment from today's broadcast. Just remember, it's your authority. Build it, share it, and they will come. Until next time.